The virginity train doesn't end. Today we're going to be taking a look at Boris Wilde on Fool Us. Now I remind you, if I haven't done so before, that anytime I post a Fool Us video, it always has to clear through whatever network it happens to be on, and it takes probably an extra day, and it's annoying, and they don't get monetized, which is annoying. So check out the PigCake Magic Academy, the home of over 1,500 videos, going over card stuff, coin stuff, everything you need to become the best magician you could possibly be, and to make up for YouTube and their predatory, anti-fair use policies. I get it, whatever. The network owns Fool Us. But still, this is fair use, is transformative. Shut up. So let's take this opportunity to look at Boris Wilde and his performance on Penn and Teller's Fool Us.
With two randomly selected world-famous magicians, please welcome Boris Wilde.
Thank you. Thank you. Bonjour, Penn. Bonjour, Teller. It's a great honor to be here with you today. But I must say, it was a big challenge to come up with something special for your show because, of course, I want to fool you, but for that, we have to be very, very good. So with this routine, I try to imagine what you would say, how you would talk in your tricky little codes. And I spent so much time doing this that I actually began hearing your voices in my head while I perform.
What a bunch of nonsense. If this guy created a way to hear my thoughts in my voice, there would be real magic.
See? Did you hear that? I told you.
did.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Sound a lot like me.
But now, for the trick.
The Frenchie is not using a fresh deck, which means he's got the cards set the way he wants them.
Well, yes. So it's probably better if we use a brand new deck of cards that comes straight from the factory. Yep, and yep. Penn, would you please choose any deck you want, any one you want? This one here, all right, we don't need those. And let me open this one here for you. And obviously the cards are in brand new deck order, yes. So I'm going to shuffle them, yes. And Teller, I mean, it's funny because when I do this shuffle here, it's like I can hear you thinking and Penn doing the talking for you.
Teller says watching you do that shuffle makes him think you know a lot about the ancient Egyptian pharaohs.
The one thing I never liked about Fool Us was all that code talk. Whenever Penn and Teller would try to talk methods, but to try to do it in a way that lay people wouldn't necessarily understand, I never enjoyed that aspect of it. The whole premise of the show is to try to figure out what the magician is doing. It's called Fool Us. Penn and Teller fool us, yeah, they're the ones trying to figure out the method, but technically so is the audience. So if you're being cryptic and you're speaking in code, the internet exists. People are still going to look it up, and it's not going to make a difference ultimately. Now, what's great about this so far is that Boris Wilde is playing a very clever game where he is attributing all these things that Penn and Teller could potentially come up with, and he's dismissing them as not being methods. Now, he's doing this in a very clever way by pretending to have the voice of Penn, in this case, narrate what his thoughts are, but at the same time, it still allows him to use those very methods. Now, I'm not necessarily sure what the method is until we get to that particular portion for this particular effect, but it's a nice way of dismissing potential methods thought out by participants, and it's by just naming it outright. One way that I've heard this called before is elimination by mention. So you are eliminating potential methods thought out by audience members by simply mentioning it. For example, some people like to use special cards, or you go to a magic store and you buy a deck that might help you do certain tricks. I want you to just take a look and make sure that all the cards are different and all the cards are actually separated here and shuffled well. And of course, just by mentioning that, the participants are going to be at least a little bit more calm in the sense of you using a gimmick deck, especially if you're so open with them. Little do they know don't know what they're looking for. They don't know how a deck could be marked or gaffed or gimmicked. There's so many different ways that a deck of cards could be prepared that a participant would never even fathom unless they resort to full-time virginity like we do. It reminds me of that Donny Osmond looking at Danny D'Artis's deck where he goes, yeah, it's a normal deck. You don't fucking know that. You don't know what a normal deck looks like.
So that's why it's better, I think. Could you please shuffle the cards yourself so that we know that everything is absolutely fair from the beginning? Yes. Nice. Very good. Thank you. Good. Oh, well, but even though you may think...
He probably peeked at the bottom card to make it the key of the trick.
Well, yes, I could have. So could you please cut and complete so now I know absolutely nothing about this deck? Right. Thank you. Great. Taylor, in one moment, I will ask you to pick a card in that deck here. But I don't want you to open the spread a little wider somewhere, or you may think.
Teller thinks you're trying to make him take a particular card.
So, no, make sure, no, make sure you really take any card, yes? And also, I will look away, because you probably think.
He's going to look at the cards.
But no, I swear, I promise, I'm not looking. Please take any cards you like, anyone you like. Yeah, I'm not looking. Yeah, you got one? Remember it, show it to everyone in the audience at home, to Penn too, please. And Penn, in case you're thinking.
Now he's going to control the card.
No, I will not control it. So could you please put it back here? Yeah, so now it's lost in the deck. And also, I will perfectly square the cards so there is nothing to see. Or you may think.
He's doing something sneaky to help him find the card.
Nope, and I leave the cards on the table.
This is a real novel approach in what could be essentially a trivial trick and converting it into a piece of theater. Just by having this back and forth with Penn and his supposed thoughts, it really elevates even what could be a otherwise boring trick into something more spectacular. The selection process of the card was very, very fair, but you have to question the certain actions that he carries out because, as we know in Magic, everything has a purpose. In this case, if he wanted Taylor to pick a card as fairly as fair it could be, why not just have the card spread on the table and he just selects one without even looking at it? Or why does he have to be holding the cards? These are all things that we ask ourselves when we're trying to figure out methods. Magicians are sluts. We're whores. We like to hoard specific methods and we like to hoard all these tricks that we'll never do. And when it comes to another magician devastating us with a potential trick, we crave how it could be done. And when inevitably we're told and the method doesn't meet our standards, we get upset. We get angry. We post on it on forums. I can guarantee you that a lot of magicians really tried to figure out how Boris Wilde did this trick when it first came out, and they had their speculation and they dug through his work. And I'm sure that they were equally as upset when they probably discovered the method, because we're fickle. We're fickle as magicians. And something like this is too much for 99% of performing scenarios that you're going to find yourself in. You will never need to be this clinical and this clean with your performances for normal people. But yet, we still want to know. The real truth of the matter is that, more likely than not, the best method is already something that you know.
So guys, is it possible for me to know anything about Taylor's card right now? Most people would say no. But these two are thinking.
Yes.
And they are right. And that's why I want you to shuffle the cards again. So now you think.
Damn, he can't know the card or its position in the deck now.
Yes. Yep, thank you. But I promised to find it, so I will do it with a free choice from you, Penn. Could you please name any number between 1 and 52, please?
3.
3? Oh, wow. Okay, that's a small number, but yes, 3. Okay. It's funny because I can hear.
That French guy did not use his magician's choice for my number. Is there really any number?
Yes. But, yes, it's true. But you said 3.
I did.
All right. So, let's have a look at the third card in the deck. 1, 2, 3. Is it just me, or do you hear them thinking?
Let's watch closely to see if he does any funny moves. But if the card is somehow in that position, wow.
For the very first time, Penn, please, can you tell us the card that Taylor chose earlier?
2 of spades.
That right? 2 of spades?
Yes.
Could you please take the cards and show to the audience the third card in the deck? Please, show to everyone the card. What is it? Is that it? Is that the 2 of spades? Yes? Oh my God, a miracle! We made it! Oh wow! Yes! Wait, because I see their faces. Maybe one final thought?
I think he fooled us.
Thank you.
Boris Wilde is such an infectious performer. If you've seen his other works, he's a really really great performer, and you could see it with his attitude, his enthusiasm. He's just, you can't help but just look at everything he does and be completely charmed. That really sounded like I'm gay for him. I might be gay for Boris Wilde, who knows. And you see it with something like this, that he takes a very trivial and otherwise boring trick to any layperson, which is any card to any number. They don't give a shit. The truth of the matter is that many presentations for any card to any number, lay people don't care. They really don't care because there's nothing for them to care about. It's a coincidence. And for them, it's not even an impressive coincidence. In my experience, the only way that they really care about the effect is if you make it something to do with them. Make it something about their positivity, about life. Make it something that ties into their well-being. My personal variation of any card, any number starts off with them being wrong. Them being wrong just for the simple fact that they weren't thinking positively while they were dealing the cards. And then the next time they deal the cards and they're thinking positively, they have a good memory in their mind, that's when the effect hits. Now, I am familiar with Boris Wilde PigCakee. PigCakee, I believe, was a trick that he came up with in 2017. It's his take on any card, any number. It's with an impromptu situation. A deck could be shuffled. It could be mixed. It doesn't matter. And he has a variation of the spread call to get the card in the position where it needs to be. Funnily enough, that position happens to be the third position. That's where you need to get the card. Now, you notice that there is a little bit of a cut from when Teller shuffles the cards and hands them to Boris, which is ordinarily where you would need to actually call the card and put it in this position. Now, obviously, Penn and Teller are familiar with calls, so it's not like they cut this bit out because I'm sure that they would know that something is going on. Now, I love any method that involves a mechanical bit. Now, I know that there are other ones like Danny D'Artis's ritual effect, which involves some handling on the part of the participants, them mixing it themselves, and them being part of this process. Obviously, the point of this trick, concocted by Boris Wilde, was to directly fool Penn and Teller. His presentation wasn't this ritual concocted by the audience. It's, let's see what Penn would think is the method, and let me dismiss that. And he does that, I think, very effectively with this method. The PigCakee method that he's published before is a very practical one that doesn't involve as many bells and whistles. The participant mixes the deck. You just simply do a locate, or you spread call the card, you get it to position, and then you're just going to do another spread call to get that to the number. It's a very practical method, and it's very fooling, again, in 99% of the situations you're going to find yourself in. This effect is something that's concocted for Fool Us. This variation of his PigCakee is concocted for Fool Us, which is a great lesson in and of itself. Cater your magic to the audience. You really have to find out what their interest is and try to formulate whatever tricks you perform for that. Now, sometimes this could be impractical. Let's say you're a walk-around magician, and it might be a little bit hard for you to cater each and every single trick to each and every single person, but you're going to find that the best reactions that you get are when you tie in something that the participant genuinely cares about. Imagine the strength of something like a Rubik's Cube trick when a participant is playing around with a little Rubik's Cube on their own. They have their own little cube and they're playing around with it, and you manage to get it from them and do something that they'll never forget. Same thing with an effect that involves a loved one or someone that really matters to the participant. You manage to get them to think of that person, and then that person ends up calling them, or they end up finding that name somewhere. This also works tremendously well for corporate work. It takes maybe 10 minutes to do research on a company and find a trick that you could cater towards maybe their message, maybe what they like to promote, maybe their mission statement. It doesn't take much effort, and something like that is really going to cater to their ego. It's really going to appeal to them, and it's going to make you stand out to the cookie cutter magician that's just doing double cross. That is the real lesson to this trick. It's not the method. It's not the any card, any number. It could be a marked deck. It could be a spread call. It could be a variation of his PigCakee. Again, the method here is irrelevant. The lesson to be learned is what he's doing with it and how he managed to cater what is a trivial, mundane, boring trick and made it so he fooled Penn and Teller. I highly recommend looking anything up by Boris Wilde. Everything he touches is absolute gold. His marked deck is essentially the standard for the modern marked deck, and he just has a body of work that you could study for days. PigCakee, which is his impromptu variation on the any card or any number plot, could be found on his work. The DVDs are called Sensation by Boris Wilde, and you could find it in any major magic company. I'm sure it's there in Penguin Magic. I don't think Illusionist has it. Maybe Murphy's has it. You could shop around and find it. I have a trick coming out very soon. You should be looking out for that. It's coming out through ACAAN Magic. Other than that, fuck off.
I see you again. When 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 I see you again. see you again, when I see you again.